This is a
Great spot.
projection. I like doing this because a lot of times when you do football analysis, people just like whatever happened last year is what's going to happen the next year. But that's not how football works. There's always like wild variations, and we're going to try to predict those today. And no one remember if we're wrong, but if we're right, give us our props. That's how it works. So let's start with the positive. One player who could exceed expectations. And when we say one player, like he'll name one, and then I'll name one, and then he'll name one, and then I'll name one until we run out of people who could potentially fit on this list. You go first.
It's a game of tennis here, basically, is how we're doing it. A little
Basically.
game of tennis. We're doing who can exceed expectations. All right, the first one who I thought in my mind was going to be Aaron Banks, who's going to take over for Lakin
Oh
Tomlinson.
wow.
I
Okay.
think I know that's a stretch. I think he could. I'd lean more he's going to exceed than be a bust in terms of being more hopeful in the
Hey, the
season.
bar's pretty low after his rookie year, right?
It is pretty low, and I guess it's because he had to learn right guard on the fly, essentially. And the thing about the 49ers, I've said it multiple times, these guys have an infatuation of taking touted prospects at one position and putting them at somewhere where they're not, which is kind of like hilarious to me considering, they always like to put players in the most ideal position to succeed. But in this sense, you put him back to left guard, he goes back to familiar territory, something he's been doing forever. You give him a whole offseason to actually build towards that way. And then maybe now even from familiarity of playing last year, maybe he comes a little pissed off because like he was injured, because he knows he didn't play well. He didn't get a chance because he very well had a chance to start at right guard. So I think at left guard, if he's back to familiar territory, I think Aaron Banks would be someone. If he's just plays somewhere solidified, that left side of the line is going to be great and perfect for Trey Lance.
It sounds to me like your volume's a little low. I thought it was just me, but Nacho Libre saw it as well. Maybe, I don't know. Just something to think about. I'll go next while you work on that. I'm going to stay on the offensive line. I like the Banks pick, although I wasn't bold enough to pick Banks. I went with the other rookie from last year, Jalen Moore, 76. I feel like what's going to happen is he's going to get most of the reps at right tackle during training camp. And the Niners are going to hope that McGlinchey comes back and that he, I don't know, is this great player that they think he is. But I think Jalen Moore is going to be better than him. And I think Jalen Moore is going to be their starting right tackle this year, and he's going to take it over. I think he's going to be an upgrade, and I think he's going to be one of the better stories of the season. Jalen Moore at right tackle.
Jalen Moore over Mike McGlinchey. Does that sound a little better? Or am I still kind of the same? Still kind of the same.
I don't know. It's just kind of the same to me, but I don't know. We can hear.
I
We can
got a lot of
totally,
voices. It's easy.
it's all good.
I'm easy to project. Another player to exceed. How about Drake Jackson? I know he's a second round pick, and there's already going to be some nice little heights on him. But I feel like in terms of where he's going to exceed the expectation is probably a little sooner in the season. It's going to probably, where some of us will probably think, hey, mid-season, second half of the season, especially late in the season, is where he'll see his massive surge. But how about when maybe just by like game 4 where he starts wreaking havoc? I mean, there's so many players on that defensive line that you're going to have to consider to like block or scheme around that you're not even going to worry about Drake Jackson. I'm going to be worried about Nick Bosa, be worried about Eric Armstead to the extent, just so many other players that you're going to have to like focus on that defensive line before you even get to Drake Jackson, because it's like he's a rookie. let him figure it out too. A fringe second round pick at that, because remember he was the bottom of the second round, so I can see him like really turning it up by like game 5, starting to pick it up, and then he just trends all the way to the end of the season where he grows a strong finish, and maybe even if they make the playoffs, he'll be a significant factor of why they're even getting a efficient pass rush.
Okay, that's a good one. I'm gonna stay on the defensive line. Whenever you do a player at a new position group, I'm gonna try to match you. I'm gonna one up you. How about at defensive tackle, Kevin Givens? Because DJ Jones is gone. Everyone's looking at Javon Kinlaw to replace DJ Jones, and Kinlaw can, but as we know, he's got an injury history. And he had a total ACL reconstruction this offseason. He hasn't practiced yet this offseason. If it's delayed, same situation basically with McGlinchey. I just said Jalen Moore over McGlinchey. I'm a little skeptical of that whole rehab process and how he's going to bounce back. I'm skeptical of Javon too. Nothing against him. It's just sports. So if there's any type of setback or whatever, boom, Kevin Givens gets a shot. And to me, Kevin Givens is a hell of a player. He doesn't get the hype that Javon gets because Givens was undrafted. Javon was a first-round pick. But I think Kevin Givens is a hell of a player. When he came to the team, he seemed a little small to play defensive tackle, but He seems like he's gotten bigger and stronger every single year, and I'm curious to see what he can do with a golden opportunity to be a starting nose tackle this year.
Yeah, that's a good one. They're definitely gonna need that rotational one right there, is because for exactly the same thing you said. Like, we don't is Killmonger be healthy this year? As who else is gonna be healthy? Isn't another player on there who also gets injured on that defensive line that I just can't think of right now. But point is, he's gonna come in clutch for them. That's a good one. Exceeding expectations is another one. Shoot, who can I get a third one? How about Jake Brendel? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna say Jake Brendel.
That would have been bold. Hey, the bar low.
Hey, that would be bold. I can't go that one. I gotta go with shoot, man. How about Juwan Jennings, just based off of how he's really been on a heater since what, November?
Yeah.
He's been on a heater since pretty much November essentially, and it's just gone on to. I think the way I'm thinking about exceeding expectations, I think he already has great expectations. Like, people are gonna think he's a baller now. He's gonna, like, reach that status next season. But I feel like in terms of seeing expectations, like, people are gonna be like, this guy is significantly better than Kendrick Bourne, because that's essentially where we're kind of comping him to, right? That third wide receiver, Kendrick Bourne, they're both same energy. And that's also something that Kyle Shanahan, I think, has also, like, been drawn to some comparisons towards a little bit, that there was some similarities. I think I remember he said that at one point during last season. But I think with him, he's going to have great rapport with Trey Lance. I feel it's going to be working out great. I mean, the fact you already got this building up during the LTAs, and I think those two even worked out together some point, maybe even last off season, if I'm mistaken. But who knows? He worked out a lot of people, but I think that's one player who's really going to stand up. He's not going to be just your basic blocker. He's going to be someone that Trey Lance is going to rely on pretty heavily.
Yeah, I have him written down. I wrote down 6 players for this list. We've gotten through 3 of them. I'm going to stay in the wide receiver room. Ray McLeod. When they signed him, I kind of made fun of the signing, but after watching him in OTAs and minicamp, it's clear that they're going to use him on offense. He's going to have a gadget role, and more than that, like, he is a better wide receiver than I gave him credit for. He really trusts his hands. He has no problem catching Trey Lance's fastball. He's not like Travis Benjamin or someone who's trying to catch the ball with his chest. He's a good, well-coached vet wide receiver. I think, and you know how Kyle is. He'll sign a guy. People will be like, "What is Kyle thinking? Why does he want this?" And Kyle will make it his mission to use him and show you and prove you wrong. And I think he kind of has that chip in his shoulder with Ray because everyone kind of panned that signing.
You got the insider trading knowledge on Ray McLeod. I can't even see that. I can't even.
It's okay.
We're talking about practice, though.
We are talking about practice. I got 2 more guys' names if you can't think of anyone.
Dude, I think I can't think of anymore. That's someone that I would actually, like, have faith in. I would just be lying at this point.
2 more guys. Jeff Wilson Jr., in my opinion. I think people aren't really thinking about him, and I think he might be the best running back on the team. Is he going to get a run? We'll see. He was hurt last year, and he came in, like, midway through the season when they needed him, and he didn't really seem like himself. But the year before, there were games where he took over, like in New England. Yeah. So I'm curious to see if he can regain that form. The guy he used to be 2 years ago. And finally, how about Trey Lance? I like people are really, like, kind of treading lightly, like, hey, he's 22. They look at Josh Allen here in the league. Like, don't be surprised if there are some serious growing pains. I don't know. He just tore it up in OTAs and minicamp. He's got a really good team around him. He's quite gifted. He knows the offense. I feel like he's gonna be his stats are gonna be way better than people realize. That's the way I kind of look at it.
Yeah, and then that's something I saw. Who was it saying? Like I told you, my boy Mo on Bleacher Report, he was on the other side of that. And some of the things listed is like the same way. People treating it lightly. Oh, no game experience. We don't know. But as much as I want to hear that, it kind of makes no sense for me to even take that side, especially for me and you to take that side when we're one of the people who kind of pounding the table that Lance should have started over Garoppolo, and for the reasons being is like, you have a great offensive mind, right. Kyle Shanahan, you have all this talent, you have a great defense. There's no softer landing for a rookie, well, not second year, quarterback to really round out, come into form, and find himself.
And look at how you like baby Jimmy Garoppolo. Can you not do the same thing for Trey Lance? I think they can. I think people are expecting Trey Lance to maybe complete 54% of it, something low. And I think he's going to be way closer to 70 because it was like 75% in minicamp. Again, it's just minicamp, but it seems like he has a real good feel for where the ball needs to go. He's been in the offense for a year. He's very smart. Sometimes accuracy is an issue, but it wasn't in camp. So it'll be interesting. I think Lance is going to exceed expectations. I don't know how many games he'll play. You know, I wonder about the durability. Same thing with like Andrew Luck 10 years ago, but that's a different thing. I mean, that's a question for every football player.
Yeah, plus it's not like, they're going to be he's going to be making Lance throw it like 30, 40 times. I think it's still going to be around that 20, well, maybe a little bit more pass attempts, maybe the 25, 30 range in some cases, but ideally, Shanahan still wants to run the ball, opens everything up, and then still give Trey Lance those easy open throws, like within 5 yards, within 10 yards, dump off crosser, slant to Debo, Ayuk, whatever, and then he connects those, accuracy looks polished, and then I think that's where Kyle Shanahan's going to start having more faith in Lance to give him more of that responsibility, like, hey, here's a straight drop back. Let's take more shots without the trickery. Because that's something you saw that he did with Garoppolo, where he was timid. It's like, I need Jimmy to make these 3 to 5 throws first before I start asking anything of him. If he can't make those, I'm pretty much strapped with my playbook right now. So I think that's something he's gonna do. Probably a little timid with Lance at first. Like, let's see if we can make some of these throws, see where he's at, and then once I feel confident that he can make these throws, then we can start going after the defense. That's something I think that's gonna be the trend for a majority of the season.
I agree. I mean, we're so used to Kyle being like terrified of his own quarterback, where the way he would call plays would be like run, and then when you have to throw on third down, then you let Jimmy Garoppolo throw. And other times he would throw would be like, extended handoffs on first and second down, up screen. He would throw a lot of screens, and you'd ask him to throw when he had to, but that was pretty much it. You only turned to Jimmy like when you absolutely had no other options. And now I think you're going to see Kyle be much more aggressive with his quarterback, like taking shots from play action. Remember that? Go back and watch the Falcons from 2016. I'm not saying he's going to be Matt Ryan, but Kyle is going to call plays similarly with the play action and the shots down the field, because why wouldn't you? He wanted to with Jimmy. I think one of the reasons they're getting rid of Jimmy is that Kyle felt like he got sold, something he didn't. I think he thought Jimmy Garoppolo would be a lot different. Remember, Jimmy only played 2 games before he came to the Niners. He only played 2 games. These tendencies were not known, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's something he can't wait. He can't wait to actually bring the big guns to the playbook, right? He's finally done of using the little pea shooter gun for his offense when throwing the ball. But yeah, I still think still think Kyle's gonna be a little timid with him. Maybe at times at least. I still think because I don't know how to call plays with Trey right now. Let me figure it out. Let me see where he's at, because for all we know, it could be like the first 2 to 3 games, which it should be because they play some very low average fair weather opponents, that Lance looks good, and all of a sudden you get to that Broncos game Sunday night, bright lights, and then you get a little nervous, you get a little tight right there, you just get shaky, whatever the case may be. And I just think it's going to be a lot of interest in how Kyle's really going to treat Lance, whether it's the first portion of the season or maybe it's the way. I think it's going to be different than Jimmy, but I'm just know it's something that he's going to have to feel a little more trustworthy or more comfortable in terms of actually being in the game.
I'm just thinking about how Kyle's going to use his receivers differently, because it's so clear.
Yes.
He likes deep threats. He brought in Marquise Goodwin. Then they got Jimmy Garoppolo, saw what he was, and they're like, all right, well, he's not going to – there's no point. So let's just get yak guys, because that's what Jimmy is. But when he had Matt Ryan, if you remember, that was 6 years ago. But dude, Taylor Gabriel was a huge factor in that offense. Now, of course, Julio Jones, great. He was a deep threat too. But when you were so focused on stopping him and Austin Hooper, you would get burned. Not you. The defense would get burned for long touchdowns by Taylor Gabriel. And it's like Kyle loves doing that kind of stuff. And that's going to be Ray-Ray McCloud this year, or Danny Gray. Like, they have those guys on this team this year. And Kyle has those play calling tendencies. He just hasn't been enabled to do. He's coming back. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun, because that's really how you win Super Bowls. You can't work around your quarterback forever. At a certain point, you need your quarterback to be great, or at least play great. And when the Ravens won 10 years ago, there were stretches where Flacco was actually really playing great. When Foles won, he was playing great. Jimmy never played great in the playoffs. He had 2 runs, enough. Anyway, let's move on. Merkin Avalo says, who would fit better with Lance, Debo or Metcalf? Debo's better than Metcalf, I think. I don't care about fit. Debo's is better.
Is he? Is he better? I'm taking DK.
I think he's better after the catch. I think he's better after the catch.
Better after the catch 1,000%.
Yeah.
I think Metcalf's a little better receiver for me.
Okay. And he's a hell of a deep threat. I mean, that would be a good – I see where Merk is coming from.
The ultimate offensive weapon, Debo off top. Like, no matter what system you're putting him in for the most – well, actually, I don't know no matter what system, because I don't trust other teams to use Debo the same way, but ultimate offensive weapon, ultimate receiver, DK for me, in my opinion.
Salasafati says, really worried about the middle of the D line. They will run A, B gap opposite of Armstead if no Kinlaw. Givens is more of a smaller pass rusher. Yeah, let's see. I mean, he knows he's got a big opportunity. Is he going to be a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger this year? I think he's been a little bit bigger and stronger every year, but I don't know if he's – last year I felt like when Street and Givens were on the field, the Niners couldn't stop the run between the tackles, and they needed DJ Jones and Armstead out there pretty much all the time. So let's see. Let's see.
Yeah, especially once Kinlaw went down, that's when the run defense started really leaking oil, and then you needed DJ Jones to really step it up, and sure enough, the guy was just balling week after week.
And they moved Armstead full time after that, I think. Yeah. Justin E says, any chance Jordan Mason makes a team? There's a chance, but I think it's more likely he'll be on the practice squad and he'll be the Niners' new secret project. I don't think anyone's going to take him from the Niners, which is nice.